What fits for us and what doesn't. And they'll come up and say, Coach, he's not a good fit. And if our guys don't think he's a good fit, there's no sense in putting that apple in our apple cart. So we do that. We call the high school coaches, the guidance counselors. But here's some easy ways. A guy that scores a goal, I don't want to see this. I want to see the guy that scores a goal run over to the guy that passes the ball. Whistle's blown, timeout. I want to see guys that run to the huddle. I want to see guys that are inside the huddle, not walking around on the outside of the huddle. I'm an invisibles guy. What I mean by invisibles, it's the things you really don't notice, that don't seem important. Who runs to the huddles? You know, who's dressed like everybody else on the team? What guy has to have one sock up and one sock down? Doesn't work for me. What guy has to have the fancy surfer shorts on at camp? Doesn't work for me. I don't want guys that call attention to themselves. We want guys that are more about the group. And you can tell athletically by just watching their mannerisms. You know, how does a guy handle adversity? Does he smack his stick on the ground, or does he just keep fighting? There are lots of different, we call them invisibles, other people call them intangibles. But there are a lot of invisibles that we look at. And literally, when I take notes, I'll just say, jogs to the huddle. You know, never congratulated his teammate. He passed on some pretty talented players. So, a very quick story. Best defenseman in all of Long Island, since you're a native New Yorker, walks into my office, and I am fired up to spend time with him and his family. Can't wait to hopefully attract him to Hopkins. And he walks in, hat on sideways, strike one. Muscle t-shirt, strike two. Pants hanging halfway down his rear end, strike three. He is done before he has said word one to me. Not because I don't think you can dress that way. Listen, to each his own. I had 2 earrings and long hair. Not my place to say, yes, I had hair at one time. not my place to judge there. But I do think the position of head coach, whether it's at Johns Hopkins or any other institution for that matter, in our sport, carries some weight with it. At least come in and look half decent. I might have been more upset that his mom and dad let him come in like that than him. And when he came in, he sat down, slouched in his chair, never took his hat off, which Kevin will tell you, our guys are not permitted to wear hats in buildings. They take them off. And we talked. And he was a really nice kid. But I just felt like he wasn't a detailed guy. And that the way we do things, we would be doing this. Because what we want, on one hand, he'd look at it and go, well, what does that matter? Those things matter to us. So he left my office, and Kevin will tell you again, when you come for a visit to Hopkins, I'm the guy that drives you around in the blue car. That's my chance to spend time with those young men and their families and to get to know them. And I want to be the guy telling them about Hopkins. If Bill Parcells said, if we're going to do the cooking, then we're going to go shopping for the groceries. I want those decisions to be mine, right or wrong. I want to be responsible for them. And when I walked out of my office, I grabbed one of my assistants. I said, can you do me a favor? Would you mind driving this family around campus? So they leave, and one of them comes sprinting back. And he opens the door and goes, what happened? I said, don't worry about it. We'll talk about it when you get back. So he takes them around. He comes back. What do you think? Are we going to get him? I said, what I think is we need to just let him know that we're going to move in a different direction. Went on to be a Defenseman of the Year. Went on to be a national champion. Very nice kid. I have a very good relationship with him today. Never shared with him this story. I haven't shared his name. But you know what? I don't know that he would have become what he did with us because it wasn't the right fit. So we work awful hard at figuring out character. Anything else?
How'd you get involved with Wounded Warrior?
Wounded Warrior. Well, then I'll end there. Wounded Warrior is pretty close to my heart, more so now than maybe ever before, because I'm an assistant coach for Team USA. And one of the privileges of my position there is I work with the former head coach at Navy, when he was asked to step down and asked me to take this job. I took the job for that reason. I wanted to work with him. And one of the guys that works with us is a manager, is a former West Point grad. I have a great affinity for the academies. I actually looked at both when I was in high school. I'm probably much better suited for those places now than I was then. But he is one of the higher ups in Wounded Warrior. Well, we got involved with Wounded Warrior through a gentleman whose son did 2 tours in Afghanistan and came back without a scratch. And on the streets of his town, I guess a fight broke out and he tried to do the right thing and he was shot and killed. And normally when you're a police officer or a fireman and you're shot in the line of duty, you're treated and handled a certain way. Veterans of the war are not. So Dad had come to us to help them get legislation passed to actually have those veterans that lose their lives that way handled a little bit differently. So we were invited to the Army-Navy game. Now, we used to play Army, we played Navy every year. I'll apologize if there are any Naval Academy guys. I can't root for Navy. Kevin will tell you, I can't root for anybody we play. In football, basketball, darts, tiddlywinks, you name it, I can't. So I went rooting for Army, and we happened to be with a group of guys from Army. We got on the bus, and they were gentlemen without fingers, without arms, without legs, and these guys were, you want to talk about heroes? These guys were awesome. So we hung out with them. We had a beer or two with them. We went to the Army-Navy game. We sat with them. We watched them. And afterwards, we spent some time with them. And one of the guys who could stand got up and said, we want to give a special thanks to the 2 coaches for spending the day with us. This has really been a treat and thrill for us. I got up and I said, I'm going to have to interrupt you. This isn't your thrill. This is our thrill, to be around real heroes. So that's kind of how we got involved with Wounded Warrior. And we've got a couple guys. I got a boy right now that's getting shipped off to North Carolina. He's coming out of Quantico. So we got a couple of guys that have gone on to be in the armed forces, and we're awful proud of them. So that's kind of how we got involved with it. Listen, you guys have been great to entertain me for too long. I really thank you for letting me be a part of your special night tonight. And to the young guys, be gritty. Work hard and just do your best. That's all anybody can ask you to do. All right? Thanks so much, folks.